What's up, guys? Welcome to Demo with Mo. I'm your host, Monique Simmons. We'll be discussing dating, engaged, and married objectives from a young Christian's perspective. Are you guys ready? Let's dive in. Alrighty, you guys. Hello. We are go ahead and get started with our Let's Talk discussion. We are going to be discussing inner struggles. This first question we have here, what are inner struggles or internal conflict? What comes to mind when you hear these two words? So when you hear me say inner struggles or internal conflict, what comes to mind?
I would say like kind of battling your inner dialogue, like when it has less than positive or negative thoughts, just kind of reinforcing what your values are and the decisions you made and how you want to move forward, just not letting, the little devil on your shoulder just run rampant.
Okay, I like that.
I immediately thought of what I want to do and what I should do.
Ooh, okay.
Mhm. And I think that's because I'm like in my own like little inner struggle with some things, that of course, God wants me, has for me, I think, to do, but it's not necessarily what I want to do, but
Yeah.
it's what I should do. Because I really at this point know that it's God leading me, there.
Ladies, I like both of you guys' definitions of describing those. And when I looked it up, I found a few different things that stood out to me. It says the struggle between what you know and how you feel. A constant battle that hinders us or causes conflict in our decision making, which is one of those things Renata said. Our thoughts and emotions trying to override what we know is morally right or wrong. So, ladies, I love what you guys said. Okay, so let's move on to this second question. What are examples? And this is going to get a little more personal. This is going to be something you're going to have to think about for yourself. What are examples of things you struggle with internally?
I really had thought about this as like maybe last night. I'm like, I feel like I have insecurities that affect my relationship, where I don't think it's anything that my boyfriend has said, but it's something that I think about, to the point where I feel like I kind of will isolate myself sometimes if I focus on it too much. So it really is like an internal battle with me telling myself to shut up sometimes. Like, that's not even true. You know that's not true. Why are you even thinking about it? And that's one of those things that I will, at least me, I'm like exhausted after I sit here and think about something so much. So I have to kind of distract myself with other things. I need to pick up a book. I need to turn a show on. I need to move a little bit, go clean something, just so I don't have those thoughts like forefront in my
mind. That's really good. Okay. What in my next question, I'm going to put a pin in this for a moment, but my next question is going to tie in. I don't even want to respond to what you said just yet, because my next question is going to really piggyback off what you just said. So I'm going to put a pin in there for just a second. Ash, what you think? What are some of your internal struggles that you deal with the most?
Internal struggles that I deal with the most are perfectionism, rejection. I think those are like the top two for me. And I just ran into a situation where I was like being supervised by this woman, and I changed supervisors because I had gotten really behind on like my notes and stuff. And the person who I am contracted with is a friend of mine. So he felt like it was best for me to get another supervisor, right? And so I got a supervisor, and I don't like not being 100%. And what she made me realize is that I have a very all or nothing thinking, and I didn't realize that about myself.
Yeah.
Like I'm either giving 100% or like I shut down completely because it's like I'm not okay with not giving 100%. So that is
Mm.
a real struggle for me to like when I know that I'm not 100% to not shut down, to not avoid, because what I'm really avoiding is not being perfect because I want it to be perfect, really, and nothing is. So I would say, yeah, perfectionism and rejection are two big ones for me. Yeah.
Those are good. I mean, not to say that those are good, but you get what I'm saying. Those are really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel when you came to terms with finding out that you are all or nothing person, or you needed to give 100%, or you shut down? How did you feel when you realized that's what you were really doing?
Mm. I guess this is why supervision is good because it was really one of those moments where it's like, you know how you know something, but it's not until
Hmm.
someone else points it out that you're like, yeah, I do that more often than what I thought.
Yeah.
And so for me, at first it was like, wow, I do that. Like it was like a like light bulb moment, I think. And so it has kind of helped me because when I feel myself doing it, kind of like Martha said, like when she feels herself, dealing with her inner struggle, you have to kind of fight against it. So that's the struggle part, right? Because
Yeah.
you want to do what you're used to. I want to shut down because I couldn't give 100%. I don't want to show up for nothing. Like I'm just done. And I can't do that, especially as an adult. You can't not show up for work because you had a bad work day. You can't not show up as a mom because you had a rough moment with like you just can't live like that. And so I think that it's helping me to realize that I was like that because a lot of times my mood would change and I realize now it was really me shutting down because of that.
Yeah. The one that I struggle with the most is being in control. Like I struggle with that a lot.
Too.
And I become, when I'm not in control, I become really critical. And I didn't even realize, I knew I struggled with being in control, but I didn't realize how critical I can become when I'm not in control. And it's not like the control where, where, how do I put this? Not like control possessive, like needing to control others, like in a relationship, not that kind of control. Um, but the kind of control where I need things to be done a certain way. I need things to be in order. I need stuff to be on a calendar. I need order. Like I need things to be in control because growing up, things were so out of order. Things I never knew how life would be from one day to the next. Things was changing so much and so out of order. I always said when I got older, my life would not be that way. So it's now like the things I can control, I really want to be in control. So when I notice I can't control certain things, I'm very critical. I begin to get very critical about certain things. So I really struggle with that. And especially because I'm a Christian, I'm a believer, I have to surrender to God. I can't be in control of everything. So I really struggle with that because I have to literally give over because that's what surrendering is. I really have to let go of control and trust Him. So that's a struggle for me because,
It's the not knowing for me with control. Like I need to know. I just need to know.
girl, girl. And the not knowing part is not even my issue. It's the, I
You literally
need,
have to control, huh?
yeah, I need to do it all. I need to make sure everything is done. Girl, yeah. So I'm struggling right here thinking about it, like even putting words to it and saying it out loud. Yeah, I struggle with that. I do. Okay, ladies. So the next question is, which I really wanted to talk about after Renata's response on her inner struggle. How is a relationship or marriage affected if a partner is not aware of their struggles or they don't share their struggles with their partner?
I feel like my partner will take it personal if I withdraw or get quiet or I'm a little bit in my head. He'll just assume that I just don't want to talk to him, or it's something that he did or something that he said. That is like never the case. I'm like literally in my head, and I'm throwing blows with myself in my head just so I can try to be present. And and when you say like inner struggle or inner battle, it like literally is, and it is exhausting.
Yes.
But that's that's my take.
Ooh, yes. Yes. Edge, what you think?
It breaks
Yes.
trust if they're aware and they don't tell you. Like, even if they don't maybe know all of it, but it's something there. Like you deal with, it's hard for me to talk not spiritual. I'm sorry, y'all. But like, if you deal with a certain spirit that you've been dealing with all your life and you don't tell me, like, you know what, I kind of deal with a lustful spirit. And then I marry you and I'm wondering, like, what is going on? And then I find out later that, what was behind that spirit. But you didn't tell me that. I feel bamboozled. I feel like the trust is kind of broken, because it's like you didn't really give me a chance to decide if I wanted this version of you. You showed me another version.
Yeah. Ooh. Okay. So from both of you guys' response, it tells us that our inner struggles not only affect us, but they also affect our relationships or our marriages as well. Whether we think they do or they don't, whether it's our inner struggle or it's our partner or our spouse's inner struggles, they both affect not only us, not only our partner, but they affect both of us. And with mine, again, I told you I struggle with being in control and wanting to control things. And when I'm not, or I feel like I'm not controlling things, or I don't have control, because I think my issue is more, if I get to the root of the thing, I'm afraid of things falling apart. If I'm completely honest, I feel like if I don't control it, which is not true, the same thing Renata was saying about she literally has to have a talk with herself. I have to have the same doggone talk with myself, because I know it's not true. That's why this is an inner struggle and an internal conflict, because I know it's not true. That is my flesh lying to me. That's why I have to trust God and surrender to God and surrender to the Holy Spirit. But I have to have a talk with myself, like, girl, you ain't controlling nothing. Like, you ain't holding nothing together. God is holding your whole life together. But again, this is why it's a doggone struggle. This is why it's a struggle. But when I struggle with being in control and I feel like I'm not, I get critical. And when I get critical, I start pointing out the negative things that I don't like or I feel could be done better. And now that's causing an issue in my marriage. That's causing a problem. And don't get me wrong, some of those things that I don't like or could be better, those could be true things. But that's not the way to go about doing it, because now my motive isn't right. My heart about it isn't right. My approach isn't right. Now I'm putting down my spouse, and now that's hurting my marriage. I should go about it in a completely different way. I need to check my motive. Why am I putting down my husband? Why am I speaking negative to him? Why am I criticizing him? What's going on with me? Oh, you're not in control right now. So now you're becoming critical. Now I need to begin to look in the mirror and see what's going on with me. This is my issue. This is my problem. This is my own inner struggle. And I need to begin to deal with that. So, yes, your inner struggles and your internal conflict don't only affect you, they in return affect your partner and your spouse as well if they go unchecked. So, that's my spiel, y'all. That's just my spiel. Okay. Let's see here. Next question. When you give into something you've been struggling with, what's usually your go-to response? So let's say this is one of your inner struggles, and you give into it. You've been resisting it before, and maybe this time you didn't resist it. For whatever reason, you gave into it. What's your usual go-to response? One, you beat yourself up. You should know better. Two, you reach out to your support or your accountability partner or person or village. Three, give yourself grace and you try again. Or four, ignore it, act like it didn't happen. Which one is your usual go-to response?
I really just try to ignore it and act like it didn't happen. Or it's like I'm a just kind of shut down, and that shutdown could be for a couple of minutes. It could be for a couple of hours. It could be for a couple of days. It could be for a week. It might take me that long to build back up to where I was.
Gotcha.
Because I feel like it takes a piece of my piece. It just kind of leaks onto other aspects of my mental health.
Yeah.
And it depending on how I've built myself up before it happens, that will determine how long it's going to take me to kind of get over it. So if I was already beat down, beat up, I was already tired, I was already dealing with a lot, it's going to take me a little bit longer to kind of rebound.
I got you. I understand. Ash, what about you?
I agree with everything she said. Like, it really just depends. Sometimes, I think it's more so sometimes I'm able to push through and like say the main people that are the one person that's gonna get it is my best friend, because we know each other so well. So even if I am in a shutdown mode, she knows me, so she coming. You know what I mean? But even in that, if I'm like in that shutdown mode, I'm not talking to anybody. Like, I'm just not. And if I'm really honest, when I give into it, I'm really just having a pity party. If I'm really just honest, like that's really what it is. I'm just like, oh, woe is me. I'm depressed. I'm just gonna be depressed. Like, it's like, girl, if you don't get up and do what you know to do to not be depressed, like, you just really giving into this right now. So that's my shutdown. Or I'm at the place where I'm so overwhelmed that all I can do is scream, like, I need help. Yeah. And I might not scream it literally, but my actions will, you know. Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's why it's so important to have people around you who can read your silence. Like, I didn't know how important that was until I was in a situation where they just noticed that I was withdrawn, and they thought enough to say something or to ask, are you okay? Is there something I can do? And up until that point, nobody had ever noticed that I was not okay. So that is a blessing.
I absolutely agree with that. And
100%.
That just reminded me how my girl Mo showed up for me just a couple months ago. I almost forgot about that. I had not been active on social media. I just had been quiet. Mo kind of reached out to my husband, I guess, and reached out to me like, what can I do? I don't know how the conversation went, but the next thing I know, I had like a little care package of all my favorite things on my doorstep. And I thought it was my husband, and it ended up being her. And it was just like, she wasn't the only person that checked on me, but it was just like, wow, people really care about me. Like, it's like, you think, like, when people say I care about you, like, oh, I care about you too. But like, it is a whole epiphany when you're in a down moment and you don't think anyone notices, and people that you don't expect to show up for you show up.
Yeah.
I've never had that. More than I have had here in Jackson. And it's been quite amazing. An amazing experience, the way that, I just feel like it's God placing those people in my life to help me keep going when I'm in those moments.
Amen.
Asking for help is hard.
It's so hard. It's so hard. It's so hard. And right now, in this season, I am reaching out to my support and accountability within this last year since starting therapy last year. Before that, as Ashley said, it's hard asking for help. To be completely honest, I would not have asked for help. Like, I would not. It's what people always say, the strong friend. Like, I'm the friend to help, but I'm not the friend to ask for help. Like, that takes a piece of vulnerability and that I did not have. Like, I didn't have that. I didn't know how to open myself up that way to let people in like that. But I learned how to do that in therapy. And I have been not only showing up for my friends, because I've always done that, but allowing my friends to show up for me as well. So right now, I reach out to my support and my accountability people. So that's where I am now. But if this question would have been asked to me a year ago, no, I wouldn't have been able to say that at all. Ladies, next question. Do you think it would help if more people openly talk about the things they struggle with internally with the people that they were connected to? For example, their family, friends, church members, etc.
Absolutely. I feel like that would bring a lot of people closer together because they'll realize that I feel like I get the lesson might not be for me, but I still get it. And a lot of times it's applicable for me in another part of my life. So while my friend might be struggling and I'll try to be there for her however I can. In those moments, I get to show up for her, but also get to learn how to show up for myself too. So I feel like it just adds to my toolbox if we can work through things together and it's not just my mind.
Yeah. Ash, what you think?
I think that is definitely beneficial. One of the things that I kind of, and like you said, like I don't really shy away from being real about stuff because how can you help people if you act like you are okay all the time?
Mm-hmm.
That's not helpful to people. What's helpful to people is saying, "Man, I wasn't okay last week, but let me tell you how I got out. So if this happened to you, you can get through it." And so if you never talk about struggling, which that's one thing I really commend I feel like our generation and even the generation after us on is because we're not sugarcoating nothing. We're just not. This is what it is. And you're either gonna take it and do what you will with it, or you're not gonna take it. And so
Yeah,
I think that that's helpful. And
I
to know
agree.
you're not alone, that is something that's also helpful. To know that you're not the only one experiencing what you're experiencing.
Yes, I second that. That's
So good.
huge.
Yeah. And it's so, and both of you ladies have said this, but it feels so good to know not only that you're not alone, but even if we're not necessarily going through the same thing or we're on completely different walks of life, to know that I'm not the only one that's going through something. We can literally, you may be struggling in your marriage, and I may be struggling raising a teenager, but we're both going through something. Like, I know I'm not the only one having a hard time in life, period. Like, we don't have to be walking through the same storm or the same struggle, but I know that I'm not the only one that's struggling in life. Your struggle may look different from mine, but we're both struggling in some kind of way. Like, we both are going through something, even though it's not the same thing. We both can find comfort in knowing that we both are walking through something. We can relate in that way to know that we're not alone, that we won't always be here, that I'm not facing this storm by myself, that I got a sister or a brother or whomever, someone that I love or I care about they can be there for me and I can be there for them until we come out of this. Like, it just feels good to know that you're not by yourself, especially during a hard time.
It would help a lot instead of trying to keep it a secret. And I've been keeping some things a secret from my family. I talked to different friends about it, and it helped me a whole lot. I think I even talked to you about it one time.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been going through some things, and it's just been rough. I'm talking about completely rough. The first Sunday, no, it was the fifth Sunday of last month. We had testimonial Sunday. I don't usually get up, but I was the first one with my hand up. I was ready to talk. And in the process of me talking, I just broke down in church.
Mm.
And I always try to be so strong where, you never really see me cry unless it's something major wrong. But yes,
Yeah.
I've been going through and it's getting a little bit better. It takes time.
Yeah.
You're not alone.
And then one day I called my sister, my youngest sister, and I talked to her and I just broke down. She was like, "Are you crying? Do I need to come over there? I'm on my way." I said, "No, don't come. I'm good. I just need to talk." And it helped me a lot. She stayed on the phone with me and we talked and I expressed my feelings about some things that's going on. And like I said, I was just trying to keep everything just bogged down inside of me. And I spent the day today with my mom. I went down to her house and I stayed with her and I drove her around to different places. And I wanted to tell her some things, but I did not. As long as I know I have my sister to talk to,
Yeah.
yeah. And one day I
Annette,
will tell my mom. Yes.
Annette, can I tell you how proud of you I am? Because I know you and I have been talking over the years, and you've always told me how strong you try to be and how you try to keep everything together, and you don't like to cry, and you don't like to, put your business out there. And for you to actually cry and to
Yeah.
share with your sisters and for you to get up on testimonial Sunday and share and cry in front of the church, you've never done that in all the years that I've been knowing you. So I'm really, really proud of you. Like, I'm really proud of you for letting that guard down and really putting yourself out there in that way.
And I needed to let that guard down because holding it in is not good. Blood pressure, stress, you know what
Mm-hmm.
stress would do to you.
Kill you.
So yeah, yes, yes. And I was going through. It's a little bit better for me.
Yeah.
I things you have to just turn over to the Lord. You pray about it.
Yeah.
And just present it to him. And that's all you can do. You can't change a person, even though we like to just snap your finger and everything is good. It does not work like that. You have to have that patience, have the faith that the Lord is going to work it out.
Well, I am very proud of you. I love you, and I'm definitely going to continue to pray for you like I've been doing. And I can't wait to hear how everything works out in the end.
Right. Now,
Okay, ladies. So this last question here says, what steps would you recommend for someone seeking to overcome a particular struggle? When we started out earlier, we talked about the different struggles that we kind of deal with internally. Now we're get to the practical application. If someone comes to you, or even if we want to deal with our own struggles that we've kind of talked about tonight, what steps would you recommend for someone seeking to overcome these struggles or a particular struggle?
first you have to acknowledge, okay, what's going on.
Okay, that's a great first step.
Then you present it to the Lord. You give it to him.
Okay, so acknowledge it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Renata, what you got?
Pray about it.
I'm more on the being vigilant, and noticing when my energy level is changing, and making sure that I put myself in a space that if I do have to deal with an inner struggle, that I position myself as best as I can to kind of overcome it. So if that means I'm just taking care of myself and I'm doing a self-care day, I go, get a facial or get my nails done. If that means I surround myself with people that I love and that love me and are supportive. Um, if that means I need to take a couple of days off of work just being mindful of how I'm feeling, and being willing to kind of tackle it before it escalates.
Okay. Ash, what say you?
I think, the first step is that you have to acknowledge it. And when I say acknowledge, that's just not like, hey, I got this thing I struggle with. Like really acknowledging that it's there, figuring out why it's there, what's the root. And that takes work. It can be an inner work in yourself. You can go get therapy. You can talk it out with a friend, but really acknowledging the fact that like kind of how you did tonight, like, yeah, I really like how you were like, yeah, I really struggle with that. Like, it's because it's like, even when you say it out loud, even when I shared mine, it was like a different level of like I think Martha might have said like hearing it out of your mouth is different, or you said it,
Mm-hmm.
but hearing it out of your mouth and really hearing like, and then after you say it, sitting with those feelings, like, ooh, okay, I feel some type of way, but why do I feel like that? So I think the first step is like really acknowledging it. And depending on what it is, you may need therapy, but if you don't feel like you do, you definitely have to have a good support system. Like you really, really do. So just surrounding yourself with people that you respect enough to be able to receive from, like
Ooh,
advice,
girl.
She said a word
because
right there because I was thinking about that earlier. I was like, oh,
Girl. Ooh.
I
because
can't share
you
everything with
can't receive
everybody.
from
Yeah.
everyone. And
Right.
I'm just gonna be honest, like some advice is not even warranted. Like I didn't ask for your advice. I'm just telling you what I got going on. You know what I mean? Like, so sometimes even being on the other end as the friend, maybe just realizing like, what does that person need? Are they in the place where they need to just talk it out? Are they really looking for resolutions? Like, don't just go straight in, trying to fix it. But give people their space. I think that's on, the other end of it as well. But like you have to be in a place to receive, because it can be hard. Like when you finally acknowledge something and then people come to you all from every which way, like, this is how you deal with this. This is what you do. It's hard. Like
Mhm.
let me come sit on my own. I'm telling y'all, that supervisor situation really got me because, like I said, I had gotten behind on work and I got transferred to another supervisor. And I told my friend who was my old supervisor, I was like, I was in my feelings. And I really was, y'all. I was so in my feelings because I'm getting supervision to get, licensed here in Mississippi. And so she was kind of like stretching my timeline. And I'm like, I'm not about to be getting supervision for like 4 years. Like in my mind, like, what are you talking about? And in my mind, I also was like, do you know who I am? Like, I know what I'm doing. I look like a hot mess when you came, but like I do this. I just was going through some stuff. So I had to realize that was me though. That was my struggle. That lady wasn't doing nothing but supervising me.
Yeah.
And once I came to terms with it, felt my feelings, processed them, I was able to go back to not only my friend and say, okay, I realize what it is. I have to prove myself and I don't like that. I have to prove to you all that I'm capable of the work. And because I know I'm good at what I do and I know I'm capable of the work, I don't feel like I should have to prove nothing. And so then after talking to him, once I had supervision again, because y'all, I had stopped going to supervision and everything. I told y'all when I'm not perfect, I avoid. Lady was like, supervision. I'm like, no, I'm gonna have to cancel today. I'm in a meeting. Lies. God forgive me. Lying. Like I could not face her, just knowing that she saw an imperfection in me. And I'm an open book, so y'all know that it's not like the imperfection of like, ooh, Ashley felt, it's not always. It was like the work. Like it's a difference. Like I have to be 100% like in that area. And parenting is another one that I struggle with. Like my 3-year-old had me crying. I told you this, Mo. My
Yes.
3-year-old had me crying one day because he was like, "You a bad mommy." Had me crying in tears. And that is just ridiculous because it's like you just let your 3-year-old make you cry because he said you're a bad mom because you wouldn't let him eat dirt or whatever he wanted to do. You know what I mean? And so it's really just kind of like you really have to come to terms with your struggles and figure them out. And if you can't figure out the root, go get help to figure it out so you can begin your healing. Like really. Yeah.
So good. So good. Okay, so Bridget put, and hello, Bridget. Thank you for joining us. So Bridget put in the comments, opposed to looking at the bad, look at the positive, find peace, find more me time, and remove yourself from the situation. Most times, people that's causing the stress with a smiley face. Some people will stress you. Okay, so some of the things I wrote down, acknowledge it. We have to acknowledge it, y'all. We got to bring it to light. We can't keep it in darkness. Uh, the enemy loves darkness. And when y'all hear me talk, I'm going to always use it in spiritual, biblical terms because that's going to be my perspective all the time. Y'all know my podcast is a relationship podcast from a Christian perspective. So that's, and no offense to those who are not Christians, my podcast group is for everyone, not just Christians. I'm gonna put that out there. But when I talk, my perspective is always going to be from a Christian perspective. But the enemy loves nothing more than to keep us in shame and in darkness. So those things that we struggle with, he don't want us to talk about them. He don't want us to bring light to it. He want us to keep dealing with them by ourselves so we can stay there. He would love nothing more than to do that. So we have to acknowledge it and bring light to it, because once we begin to talk about it, just like how I sit here and talk about how I struggle with being in control, and then I start realizing, oh dang, I get critical when I'm losing control, and I'm really dealing with control issues because I'm scared that things are going to begin to fall apart. I literally start piecing that all together, literally here in the midst of having a conversation with you guys. And that's what happens when we begin to acknowledge things and bring those things to light. We can really get to the root, is what Ashley said, and find out what's causing us to have these struggles. Because if we don't get to the root, y'all know what's going to happen. We're going to fall back into those struggles. We're going to continue to deal with those struggles. We're going to continue to give in to those struggles. But when we get to the root of that issue, which is what therapy has helped me with, getting to the root of why I do a lot of the things I do, therapy has helped me with that. So getting to the root is going to help all of us with a lot of our inner struggles. Having a support system and accountability, and as Ashley said as well, which is chef's kisses, having people that you're going to be able to receive from, because you can't have no accountability partner they can't tell you nothing. I mean, if you're not willing to listen to them, if they not going to be able to pour into you, encourage you, hold you accountable, please don't use them as your accountability person. Just don't even waste your time. Just don't even do it.
I want to say something to that if I could.
Yes, ma'am.
And it's so important. Like the main thing that you said, like that I kept repeating, it's like you have to get to the root of it. And I'm like Mo, I'm also a Christian. So I thought about like Jesus and the parable of the fig tree. So Jesus cursed this fig tree, but he cursed it at the root because he knew that if he just dried up the figs that were growing, they would just grow back because the root of that thing was still there to produce more. So that's the same thing with us. Like if we don't get to the root and dig up the root and heal the root of the issue, we're going to keep producing this rotten fruit in our life and in our mind and in our relationships.
Amen.
And then we're going to go back and try to dry it up, just the fruit, not the root. We can make the symptoms go away, look real pretty for a little while, but on the inside, the root of you, the core of you, you are still producing rotten things because you won't dig up the root or get to the root of it. and say, I'm not going to stop until this root is dug up. Because do y'all know how for trees, like how deep roots go?
Yeah. That's a big
That's
Real
some
deep.
hard work.
No, that's right.
If you digging trying to get to the root of a tree, that's hard work. So we got to dig and get to the root of our stuff and don't stop until we get there and dig it up. Curse it at the root.
Thank you, honey. Okay, ladies, that has been our Let's Talk discussion.
I hope you guys have enjoyed. Follow me on Facebook at Demo with Mo. If you have any questions you would like answered here live on my podcast, email them to me at demowithmo@gmail.com. That's DEMOWITHMO@gmail.com.